it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen. Well, my dear friends, I really do think you're going to love this one. Just to tempt you, here's a little bit of a teaser. When a man ventures into a remote stretch of woodland, it begins as something almost peaceful, quiet, still, and untouched. But the deeper he goes, the more the forest begins to change, and the paths don't lead where they should, and the silence feels, somehow almost intentional. Then there are the shapes between the trees. At first it's easy to dismiss. Fatigue, imagination, the natural tricks of shadow and distance. But the longer he stays, the more the forest begins to press in. And it seems that, this isn't just a place you can walk out of. It's something more. And once it knows you're there, it doesn't want to let you go. Within a Gloomy Wood, by Caleb Sliger. Part 1. 911. What's the location of your emergency? I'm hurt. Where are you hurt? Where are you calling from, sir? There was nothing on the other end of the line as I pulled up the information boxes on my computer. Sir, how did you get hurt? It's black. Darkness everywhere. I can't see where I am. Oh God, it hurts. I can't move. Please, send an ambulance. I could hear the pain and confusion in the male caller's voice. The mixture was something I heard often as a dispatcher. Usually occurs when a victim is in shock. Help is on its way. What is your address so the EMTs can find you? No address. I'm outside somewhere. He grunted in pain. Somewhere in the woods. I see stars. I hear cicadas. I don't know. I don't remember how I got here. God, it hurts. My mind raced on what to ask him next. The county I worked for had a lot of dark forest to hide you, so he wasn't really narrowing it down for a search area. So I snapped my fingers at my partner working in the dispatch office with me. I told her to ping his cell phone location off the nearest cell phone towers, and I scribbled the number down for her. Hopefully that would give us the approximate area of his location. But pinging the towers would take some time. I had to keep him talking and lucid. You see any roads near you? If you do, can you make out any road signs? Look, my guys are on the way, but they need an exact location to find you faster. Well, this was a partial lie. I hadn't even dispatched the call to deputies or medical personnel yet, due to the lack of information I had. All I had was a man with unidentified pain lost in the woods. This wouldn't be the first time somebody got high out of their mind and wandered off into the woods and then called the sheriff's department for help. Oh, it's cold. It's freezing. The man's voice started up again as I watched my partner's computer screen as she pinged his cell phone. I could hear his teeth chattering, and this reinforced the theory he was high off his ass. It was 85 degrees outside at the midnight hour. I knew PCP made its user feel unnecessarily hot. But what kind of drug made you feel cold? Hey, it's pinging off the Bleakwood Tower, my partner Cherie said, pointing to her monitor. Bleakwood was the farthest north you could get in the county. It was the least populated with rolling hills and creek beds. Also, pinging a cell phone off a tower wasn't an exact science. It only meant the caller's cell phone was within 20 miles of the diameter of the tower. That would take a lot of time to search through if somebody was seriously injured. Cherie, always the G, was already queuing up on the radio and relaying the information I'd entered along with her info out loud to deputies and medical responders. Our deputies would search the area while EMTs staged up somewhere close in case this all turned out to be something bad. Sir, what's your name? I said. I had to keep him focused. It hurts. Please hurry. Yes, sir, we are. Sir, can I get your name? He had to calm down. He was in shock. B, he whispered, almost confused. B, like the letter? I repeated. No, she was my wife. I could hear him grunting the sound of friction against the receiver. I can't remember. God, it hurts so bad. Where the hell are they? I took a deep breath. This was going to be a gamble. My job as a dispatcher was to keep the caller calm and get as much information as I could before the first responders arrived. People called me all day on the worst day of their lives wanting me to save them. They didn't understand my legal and ethical constraints. I kinda had to take my own Hippocratic oath to help me navigate my job. You know the one, do no harm, even while everything was going to hell around you. I measured what I was about to say. Was what I was about to tell the desperate young man going to help him or send him over the edge? Sir, I'm going to be honest with you. Can you hear me? Yeah. My deputies are going to have a hard time finding you if you can't give them a better location to come to. If you can, and only if you can, I need you to look around, see if you can find anything to help us see or hear you. Yeah. Okay. Oh, God, I can't move. My feet are pinned, I think. Can you see what's pinning them? Or what's holding them down? Oh, barely. Oh, I can see better now. It's... I could hear grunting and more shuffling. It's metal. Part of it's a worm. Oh, I smell gasoline. Advised deputies to be on the lookout for tire marks or debris showing a vehicle may have gone off the road. I relayed to my partner. After transmitting the information, Cherie nodded silently to the responses she was getting on her headset. 10-4, Unit 12. I'll let the caller know, Cherie said and turned to me. Let your guy know the deputies have their lights on and site takedowns on lighting up the whole forest. He needs to call it out if he can see them come by. He won't be able to miss them if he's near the road. Well, it was a good idea. I was glad I had a senior deputy on my shift who'd been on many rodeos already. I figured it was Davis's idea. I heard my caller begin to give a wet, hacking cough for 30 seconds. Did he have internal bleeding? Time was of the essence. Oh, screw it. I didn't care if they woke up the whole county blaring sirens up and down the road past midnight. Tell them to activate their sirens too. If he can't see them, he sure as hell will hear them. Units 12 and 8 are still en route to the Blakewood area, but they're running cold, approximately 10 minutes before the caller should be hearing them. Right. 10 minutes. Big county with little manpower, and my caller seemed to be laboring for breath now. I had to keep him from going into shock again. Sir, you have a flashlight app on your phone. App? What? Application? Yes, can you use your phone screen to look around? There was silence on the other end, except for his heavy breathing. He seemed confused by my line of questions. I tried again. Do you have any information on your phone that can help me figure out who you are? You may be close to your house. If I get your name and date of birth, I can look up where you live. Oh, okay, he said. When I flipped the phone open, the screen was black. It must be cracked. Barely gives off a dull light. I don't even know how much battery's left. Damn, a flip phone. But I guess a newer phone might probably not even survive a vehicle crash if that's what this was. Can you check your pockets for a wallet or ID? Yes. I'm pinned down almost to my waist. I'm hanging. I can barely get... I can feel something. I can barely get into my left pocket. There's something sticky all over me. Fuck. If it hurts too bad, just stay still, sir, I said, worried the sticky substance was his own blood or gasoline. I got it, the man said through heavy breathing. My wallet. I can barely make me out in the picture. God, it's covered with blood. Sir, don't worry. Just be still and... The moon is full. Oh, thank God, just let me... I heard grunting and shuffling. Yeah. Looks like it says my name is... Allens. Dante Allens. I can't see anything else due to the blood. I turned to my partner and said to her, Caller's name is Dante Allens. See if we have anybody living in the Blakewood area with that name. For some reason, Cherie's face went as white as a sheet of paper when she stared at me. Little did I know what that name meant at the time. Cherie was my junior on shift with only 3 years of work experience, but she'd been born and raised in the area. She could locate a house from a barn door description. She also knew all the people in family drama because they were pretty much all extended cousins of cousins of cousins. Jill, Dante's place is off by Hook's Cutoff, the 505 loop. There's no way. This has to be a prank. Cherie tried to explain before being cut off by my caller. Yeah, I can hear them. Sirens. Yeah, I can hear them. I quickly keyed up and asked, 412, what's your 20? Unit 8 to dispatch. Unit 12 and I are coming up on the southbound 505 loop. Put us in the area of Bleakwood, searching. Has there been any new information from our caller? Sir, tell me if you see any of my deputy's lights, and be sure to let me know if the sirens are getting louder or start to fade away. We're going to try and zero in on your location, okay? I said to Dante. I see something. I see light. You do? I said, hopefully, and jumped on the radio to tell both squad cars to slow up and hit the wood line with their high beams. Yeah, it's red. Flicking red. It's flashing all over. Where am I even? What the Unit 12, call out on the megaphone for our caller. He says he sees your reds and blues, I advised. Oh, God. It's everywhere. Received, dispatch, said the gruff cop on the other end of the radio. Tell your caller to stand by and keep an ear out for us. We'll be coming up shortly. There's blood coming from the sky, screamed the caller. It's raining on me. What is that? Who's there? Excuse me, sir. What's going on now? Are you bleeding? Tell me what you see. What have you done this time, Dante? Came a female voice over the phone, surprising me. The female voice continued talking and said, Now come see me, my dear. Come and see. And the line went dead. I sat in my chair, dumbfounded for a while. I called the number back only to get a disconnected line message, and the deputies were getting nervous on the radio. I couldn't blame them because I was nervous too, knowing every second could mean saving his life. Oh, I prayed he would call back. Finally, he did call back after 2 agonizingly long minutes. 911, what's the location of your emergency? I'm hurt, he said again. Deputies are still in the area, Mr. Allens. Can I... Black. Pitch black. All the damn darkness is just watching me right out of reach. It's just inches from my face, waiting for me like a lion. The familiar voice of Dante spoke, with a tremble of madness in his voice. I can't see where I am. Oh, God, it hurts. I think I'm hanging upside down. I can't get up. Please send an ambulance, he continued. Yes, I understand, I said. Help is on the way. I need to talk to the female that's with you. Can you get it to go out on the road and flag down the deputies looking for you? Well, there was nothing but panic breathing on the other end of the phone for a few seconds before I heard him say, A woman? Then Dante gasped in excitement, or maybe terror. Oh, B, my love, he said with hurt in his voice. What happened to her? Where is she? He asked, although he hadn't directed the questions at me or to anyone. Dante, there was a female with you last time you called. Was that a radio playing in the background, or was somebody there with you? I spoke slowly, trying to make sure he followed. Somebody with me? He wondered to himself. B, my beautiful wife. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, God, I'm sorry, Dante said, becoming more and more frantic. Oh, I killed you, didn't I? Dante? I responded in absolute shock. Who did you kill? You have to slow down and speak to me. I can't help you if you don't communicate with me. I need... A terrible radio feedback noise screeched its way across my phone's headset like a howling banshee. I instinctively tore the headset off to prevent my eardrum from exploding. That's when I realized the high-pitched noise wasn't coming from my headset, but was emitting loudly from every radio in the dispatch room. The resounding screech was blood-curdling. Cherie held her hands over her ears and looked at me through squinting eyes. She was still white as a ghost and holding her ears with her elbows raised up high. The screech blared steady for about 10 more seconds, and Cherie was already rocking back and forth, murmuring to herself. The pain from the noise was building in my head too. What were we supposed to do? The sound was building to an awful crescendo. God, it sounds like a woman screaming, Cherie said, with tears coming to her eyes. It's just like Reverend James says. It's the gnashing of teeth. Jill, I wish I could shut her up. Woman, what are you talking about? I yelled at Cherie over the audible torment. Finally, the high-pitched noise stopped and our ears were blessed with sweet reprieve. The relative silence itself was deafening in the cramped dispatch room as my ear rang in my head. What the fresh hell are you talking about? I continued when Cherie took her hands off her ears. First it's this mystery caller stressing the shit out of me. And now I got my partner going 1096. Jill, Cherie snapped. Dante and his wife died a year ago at that spot. Dante and B. Allens died at Hook's Cutoff. I paused for a moment. Couldn't believe what I was hearing from Cherie. I could tell she was telling me the truth. Well, at least her version of it. So it's a prank. Won't be the first time 911 got a prank call. What's the big deal? I recognize the voice, Jill. B and Dante went to First Baptist with me for years. Once you told me his name, it all clicked. And that scream sounded just like her. I had to take a deep breath and decide the best way how to proceed. Cherie was still slightly shaking. She seemed like she was on the edge of full-blown panic. I continued in my best calming voice. What screaming did you hear, Cherie? I let loose the question like the softest of softball pitches. Cherie still did not take it well, regardless. Her eyes widened in astonishment. The damn woman that was just screaming to high heaven, Cherie yelled at me. The damn woman that almost blew out our eardrums. It was B, Dante's wife, B. Allens. Okay, I said, patting the air between us in a calm-down gesture. I paused shortly, choosing my words carefully. I could see that Cherie was going to erupt with emotion again. Is that really what you heard? I said quietly to her. Yes. Tears began streaming from her eyes. I don't get it either. I was there when they buried the two of them, and those were the voices I heard today, I swear. Part 2. The phone rang out again in front of me, and I knew the caller was Dante. I put the call on speakerphone for Cherie. 911, what's the location of your emergency? I said with my practiced emotional blandness. I'm hurt, said the dreaded familiar voice, filled with the same familiar amount of pain. I looked in terror at Cherie, and her eyes widened in fear. Dante, sir, is this you? I asked. What? Came the mumbled responses on the other end of the phone before Dante found his clarity. Oh, yeah, we've talked before, right? Yes, I still have deputies coming for you right now. Just hold tight, okay? Okay, just please hurry. It's just that it hurts. Dante's voice broke into a sob. It hurts so damn much. If this was a prank, whoever was impersonating the dead man on the phone was a fantastic voice actor, because I felt my eyes begin to water slightly with sympathy towards him. I was about to give him some more words of encouragement when I heard it again, the sound of the female voice. Oh, come and see, babe. Come and see, cooed the intimate and honey-laced voice from somewhere in the background of Dante's call. All hell broke loose as both Dante and my partner freaked out at the sound of his supposedly long-dead wife beckoning him. Cherie, who'd been listening in on the conversation intently, quickly stood up and tossed her headset onto the keyboard in front of her. the same time, I could hear Dante having his own freak out on the other end of the phone. Cherie tried to flee past me towards the exit door. Well, I wasn't going to let her go AWOL on me. "Cherie, stop. What the hell?" I said as I caught her by the arm. She let me stop her with little resistance, as if she was ashamed of her actions. She began wiping the tears out of her eyes. I had to make a command decision, whether to address my partner or Dante. I put Dante on hold and gave Cherie my full attention. "You can't leave me all by myself with this shitstorm, girl. I know I'm new to the department since my transfer, but I've been on a ride or die since day one." "I can't," Cherie replied quickly as tears began to roll down her face freely. "Bea and Dante were my friends. I'd known Bea since high school. Went to their wedding as well as their funeral." "So, it's a sick prank," I said. "Once the ping comes back telling us where the call's coming from, we'll get our deputies to arrest the assholes who are tying up emergency services lines," I said. But, Cherie replied, "it sounds just like them." There was a beat of silence between me and my partner in the dispatch room. Only the sound of Dante on the other end of the phone screaming in pain as a female repeatedly called to him could be heard through the mic. "It's bullshit," I said with finality. "You believe it's really them?" I asked. "You believe he's calling us from the grave?" "Okay, where did they die then? I'll send the deputies to find them. I'll prove to you that it's just a prankster that's got in your head. Then we send our guys to the place where they died." Cherie thought for a moment. It looked like the memories hurt her. Then she looked straight at me and answered, "Hooks Ridge on Highway 82. Right past the sign on the road, where you take the sharp right on the bridge." Cherie then stopped for a bit and sighed, went back to plop down in her work chair, defeated. The muffled screams of Dante calling for help continued between us. "Tell Deputy Davis, he'll know. He worked the scene when it happened," Cherie continued. "Around this time last year, right before you came on at the department, we had a head-on collision between an SUV and a pickup truck right at the curve on Hooks Ridge." Cherie's face became serious now. "Gory stuff. Family of 4 in the SUV, 2 dead on the scene. The others, just children, pinned within. We called jaws of life to pry out the dying kids. Well, Davis had to help guide a helicopter to land on the highway. The injured were life-flighted by chopper to the nearest hospital. This was all for nothing because everyone on the scene died. The man in the pickup looked like he might make it. He died 2 days later at the hospital. It was, what's that term you use? Yeah, a shitstorm." I sat quietly for a bit and then asked, "What about Dante and Bea?" Cherie swallowed hard and made fists in her lap. "We didn't know there was a third vehicle involved in the collision. Dante and his wife were traveling in their Impala and must have been somewhere around the 2 vehicles that collided head-on with each other. Well, Dante swerved out of the way of the 2 cars smashing into each other, went straight off the bridge, causing him to fly through the tree line. God, it was almost perfect. Dante's vehicle barely snapped a twig or made any discernible path of carnage as it spiraled through the air. The Impala flew almost 50 feet downhill and crashed upside down through the ceiling of an old rusted shack down by the creek bed." "That's horrible," I said. "Did they die on impact?" Cherie gritted her teeth and started nervously tapping her foot before answering. "Unfortunately, no," she continued. "We didn't even discover their vehicle until 33 hours later. The only reason emergency services were alerted was the fire. Fire Marshal believes Dante tried to start a small fire from where he was trapped in his car. Must have hoped the smoke would alert emergency services. He took the chance even though he was surrounded by leaking gasoline. Well, the fire quickly raged out of control and burned him alive before the rescue could show up." Cherie stopped to wipe a tear away before adding, "I just hope Bea was already gone. Well, that's what the coroner said at least. What an idiot, man," she said out loud. "Look, he was desperate. He was most likely a few hours from dying himself, due to exposure to the elements or bleeding out," I said to Cherie. "We don't know what sort of headspace he was in." "Well, I Guess we can just ask him now, Cherie said as she pointed an accusatory finger at the blinking phone between us. Oh, Cherie, come on. Cut the shit, I said. I listened to your story, and I get that it was traumatic, but that's not Dante's damn ghost on the phone right now. Well, let's see then, Jill. I'll take you up on your offer. Send Davis off the road to the shack at the bottom of Hook's Ridge where Dante and B crashed. Let's see what we see. I thought for a while before I decided to change the plan just a bit, just to keep confirmation bias from clouding the outcome of the experiment. I dispatched the younger deputy by calling him on his personal cell phone and not putting the traffic across the open radio. Dante, the deputy's on his way right now. I need you to try and concentrate and describe to me what you see or hear, okay? Dante had long ago stopped screaming and was now only whimpering, and he only answered weakly with, okay. There were some tense moments of silence as Cherie and I listened to Dante over speakerphone, and then he spoke up. Hey, I hear someone. Okay, Dante, call out to them. I switched the channels on the radio to let Deputy Gomez know to keep an ear out. Gomez acknowledged and told me he had eyes on the rusted shed. Help! Please help! Can you hear me? Dante screamed. Approaching shed, Gomez said matter-of-factly on his end of the radio. Cherie and I looked at each other. There was no way Gomez couldn't hear Dante if he was that close to the shed. This had to be a prank. Hey, I see his light. It's coming through the cracks of the walls. He's on the other side of some sort of door, Dante said hopefully. Dante, can you... I can't get to the door. Oh, damn it to hell, I'm pinned. I can't, Dante interrupted. Dante, don't upset your injuries any further. My deputies will come to you, I said. Please hurry. It's getting hot, Dante replied. Dispatch, I'm about to make entry into the shed, Gomez advised. 10-4, Unit 8, I replied, sending a jolt of nervous adrenaline through my body. I always thought it was strange how the body's fight-or-flight response still kicked in even though I was miles from any danger. Oh, thank God. I'm down here. Deputy, help unpin me, Dante said over the speakerphone. I sighed in relief and felt a little foolish. I let out a small laugh, and me and Cherie exchanged nervous smiles. It seemed it was just a normal call with eerie similarities to the late Dante Allen's. Well, this would make a great war story to tell the rookies one day. I was picturing it in my head. Me and Cherie could tell the new hires about the night that a ghost had a living doppelganger. Unit 8, do you need me to send EMS your way? I asked Gomez. There was a pause on the other end of the radio before Gomez came back with his answer. Negative, dispatch. The shed is empty. I think someone's playing a game with us. Now it was my turn to pause. Anger flooded through me as Dante continued to babble on the speakerphone, still trying to make a fool out of us. Dante, I interrupted his rambling. The gig is up. No one's in the shed. You had your sick laughs. You fooled us well. But you're also breaking the law. Now get off the phone and don't call 911 again unless it's a real emergency. What? What the hell are you talking about? Dante asked. I had to admit he was a great actor because the fear and bewilderment came through perfectly. The cop's 4 feet away from me. Short Mexican guy with a mustache. Deputy, officer, hey, what the Dante paused. What does his name tag say? Gomez? Hey, shine your flashlight on me. I'm trapped in this car. Hey, do you see me? No, I wasn't going to fall for this. The caller could have had a police scanner and would know Gomez was in Unit 8 or... Unit 8. The caller's describing you. Can you check the shed for cameras? It's getting hot. So hot. Please tell him just to bend over and help unwedge me. I'm upside down in this freaking seat. I can see now because of the flashlight. The driver's seat has me pinned against the steering wheel. Look, I'm upside down. 8 to dispatch. The shed is empty. If there's a hidden camera, it has to be microscopic. Gomez's radio chatter squawked in reply to me. I'm not a damn camera. The dumb pig's kneeling down right in front of me. He's looking right through me. He has a Marine Corps eagle, globe, and anchor pin right next to his SO pins on his collar. Oh, he smells like Old Spice. I can almost reach him. Unit 8. I keyed up, determined not to be fooled by anyone. 8. Go ahead. The shed doesn't have a roof, correct? Can you scan the trees around the opening in the ceiling for cameras? No. I'm down here on the ground. Stop messing with me. It's getting really hot. I think I can smell gasoline. Please stop playing with me. Help! Dante responded. I realized Dante was responding to me by hearing my radio traffic come across Gomez's personal radio. I'd been instinctually muting and unmuting Dante every time I talked to my deputies, so Dante couldn't predict their movement. I was sure there was a camera in there picking up audio and visuals. Hey you, officer, deputy, can you please help? Are you in charge? Oh, your partner's ignoring me. Dante spoke with renewed vigor. Unit 8, are you still alone in the shed? I asked. Negative, dispatch. Unit 12 just made it down to my 20, Gomez replied. Now I knew Deputy Davis had snuck down to the shed without letting his dispatchers know. Couldn't really blame him for being curious. Hell, I wanted to look around too. Wait, I know this cop, Dante said to me over the line. 12 to dispatch, answered the deeper voice of Deputy Davis. Me and Aid are getting a strong and overwhelming smell of gasoline. The scent just flooded in out of nowhere. I'm afraid one of us tipped over a fuel canister or something while walking down here in the dark. We're going to see if we can locate the origin of the smell before we go. 10-8. Oh, God, no. Where are they going? Come back. Why are they leaving? Dante began to frantically scream. I tried to ignore him and his amazing acting skills. He really did sound like he was frightened and in pain, but I was done with being tricked by this cruel joke. I just let my deputies check the area and go 10-8 back to normal patrol, none the wiser of Dante's whining on the other line. I figured it was one of the friends or relatives of the poor actual deceased Dante and B. Allen. This prank caller probably felt like they were punishing the sheriff's department for not saving the real Dante and his wife on that terrible night. It's starting to burn, Jill. Please tell him to turn around, Dante screamed. It burns. I can see flames, Jill. Help. Cherie began to sob quietly into her hands, and hearing her only made me angrier. How dare this prank caller put my partner through such emotional turmoil? I couldn't wait for the deputies to get done with their search so I could hang up on this asshole. Oh, shit. The fire. The vehicle's on fire. Dante's words turned into incomprehensible screams of agony. I was about to lower the volume on the speaker between me and Sherry, but froze when I heard the all-too-familiar voice. Come and see. A female voice soothed through the short pauses in Dante's screams. Hey, you heard that? Cherie said. She had snuck up to lean over my shoulder and made me jump a bit in surprise. It still sounds like B. How's that possible? Yeah, I replied with an exasperated sigh. It's just another prank caller, Cherie. You gotta hand it to them. They did their homework. Don't come closer. Dante continued his horrid screams. She's right out of reach of the fire. No, it'll burn you too. Stay back. Unit 8, Unit 12. Cherie almost yelled into her headset as she keyed into my radio traffic. Go ahead, Cherie, Davis answered nonchalantly. Yes, She looked at me guiltily. I just held out my palm in a "it's all yours" gesture. We're receiving calls of a fire coming from inside the shed you and Gomez just left, so please 1019 to check if it's all code 4. That's a big 10-4, Davis said with barely hidden exasperation. Come and see, my love. B, I can't come with you, Dante spoke between his screams of burning pain. I remember now. I know what you want me to see. I didn't mean to hurt you and those people. Please, God, forgive me. Come and see. The woman's voice continued soothingly. Got the fire. It's all around me. I'm already in hell, B. And tell them that, Dante said one last time before letting out the most gut-wrenching sob I had ever heard. 12 to dispatch. Davis keyed up. The smell of gasoline is still very strong in this area. But we were still UTL on any gasoline cans or flame hazards. Once we clear the shed, you can put me and Unit 8 back 10-8 on patrol. Unit 8 to dispatch. Do I have any calls holding? Holy shit! Gomez screamed into his radio. Everything hit the fan at once. Being a good dispatcher is like having to complete puzzles with just 2 or 3 pieces while the rest are missing. So I got used to taking just nuggets of information and trying to deduce, like Sherlock, what the hell was going on. As far as I figured, Gomez had re-entered the shed first while talking on his radio. Gomez saw, which he later denied, a flipped-over Impala surrounded by flames and a frail, bald woman standing outside of it. Dante stopped talking to the woman and immediately jumped on the fact that the deputies could see him now. "Officer, please help. Get her away from the flames. Get her away," Dante screamed, his voice beckoning over the phone. The next voice I heard was the usually unshakable Deputy Davis, trying not to sound terrified. "Oh God, dispatch. I need fire and EMS to my location. Oh God," Davis screamed. I could hear Deputy Gomez and Dante yelling in the background of David's radio. I couldn't believe Dante was there. He was physically there in that shed. It wasn't a camera or a prank call. I could hear him and my deputies yelling back and forth with each other. And then, silence. Dante's call went dead, and Sheree and I were left with 30 seconds of dead air. And those 30 seconds felt like an eternity as we sat frozen in our chairs. "Unit 12, Unit 8, status check?" Sheree finally asked, breaking the quiet. 12, 8, status check." Another 30 seconds of silence, and I was calling everyone all the way up to the National Guard for backup. But finally, Davis replied to us. You can 22 my last traffic. We don't need anybody out here," Davis said meekly. There was another span of silence, and me and Sheree just looked at each other dumbfounded. We both heard Deputy Gomez speaking frantically in the background of Davis's radio traffic. Something was happening or had just happened in the shed, and they weren't telling us. "Unit 8, is everything code 4? Sheree asked nervously. More silence assaulted us. Then Deputy Gomez finally replied in a stilted voice. "Yeah, code 4. You can cancel fire and EMS. I was mistaken." We heard Davis speaking to Gomez in the background. "Listen, Jim, you're not crazy." Gomez keyed up with, "You can put both units back in 10-8 immediately." 10-4, both units back in service, Sheree replied with a quizzical look on her face. That was the last transmission we heard about our ghosts for the last 3 hours of the shift. The 2 deputies left the Bleakwood area and returned back to regular patrol. Sheree and I had sucked it up and went back to acting like everything was normal as citizens around the county continued to call 911 for loud music. The elderly requested ambulances, and deputies called out license plates on traffic stops. We just hoped one of the deputies would come by and talk to us after the shift. Finally, at the end of the shift, I found myself outside where the deputies and dispatchers like to smoke and shoot the breeze between shifts. Sheree was puffing on her cig like a chimney, and I was tapping my foot nervously. We both knew we could be waiting in vain because both deputies lived in the county and were allowed to take their patrol vehicles home after shift. The morning sun had just begun its ascent over the town square when Deputy Davis came creeping up in his patrol car. The mood coming from the old deputy was that of an undertaker driving a hearse. He popped out of his driver's seat and gave us both grim eye contact, before gently closing his door and taking calm and measured steps to walk up to us. That's when I realized Davis was terrified and was trying to put up his macho cop front before he started speaking to us. When he did talk, it was in a hushed and serious tone. He recounted the events of the night from his perspective. He told us how he snuck away to follow the younger Deputy Gomez into the woods when the mysterious yet familiar calls kept coming in. Davis said when he first arrived and walked into the shed, Gomez was just alone. Nothing was out of the ordinary. Just a rusty shack with the roof caved in. The only thing strange about it was that it was 10 degrees colder inside. Oh, and the overwhelming smell of gasoline. After they checked the area for gasoline, things really kicked off. Davis said he was right behind Gomez as Gomez re-entered the shed the second time around. But this time the shed wasn't empty. Davis corroborated on what Gomez originally said he saw, saying he observed a flipped-over vehicle surrounded by flames. Davis didn't see the woman but heard her speaking. He told us how surreal it felt, that he was hit with a cold wave as the flames illuminated the night. The juxtapositions of cold air and roaring flames scrambled his brain for a moment. Deputy Gomez told Davis he jumped forward into the shed to pull the woman away from the flames. Gomez also said he heard a male voice urging him for help. Before Gomez could lay a finger on the frail bald woman, in a wink, they were all gone. All disappeared into the night air. The cold flames, the voices, the woman, all out of existence like a switch was flipped. Deputy Gomez stood there reaching for nothing, and Davis could only blink the sunspots out of his eyes as the darkness of night shrouded them once again. Davis said he had to calm Gomez down from having a panic attack on the spot. They got the hell away from the place as quickly as possible. But Davis wanted to make it known that it wasn't a prank. Dante and B. Allens were still out there in those woods. Part 3. That was the start of my strange back-and-forth communication with Dante on most full moons. We had a small department, and word of the night spread like wildfire. Dante's ghost calls would come in periodically, and nobody in dispatch was willing to talk to him besides me. The calls were frequent enough and disconcerting enough to make Cherie quit. Didn't really blame her, and it had every dispatcher using sick leave during the night shift on full moons. Word on the street was that Gomez was trying to get hired on at a neighborhood in county for less pay just to avoid the ghost stuff. Bottom line was, it was hurting the sheriff's bottom line. Regardless if he believed in ghosts or not, he had to address the situation that had swept through his department. Sheriff realized I had a rapport with this mysterious caller, and I was calm enough to not throw holy water all in the dispatch room, so the sheriff officially put me on a special assignment. I could even get called up on my days off. They just said I had advanced crisis intervention training and was talking to a suicidal caller. I couldn't complain because it came with a pay bump. During one of Dante's episodes, he'd call 911 repeatedly and go through the same scenario over and over, like a script that he'd follow. He'd be confused, then slowly start to realize where he was. Then the fire would start, he would burn, and then he'd go back to quiet for a few days. Dante never deviated from his script, no matter how hard I tried to steer it otherwise. Maybe he was like a record on a loop. Maybe there was a repeating bubble in time, scarred in pain and guilt out there in the woods. It seemed like a purgatory prison personally made for him. I wanted to help him out. I wanted to help him through his demons. Oh, the only way out is through, was my mantra to him. It seemed lately he would snap out of his confusion and remember everything fully and break his curse. Well, it took months of me working with him, but he was beginning to recall more and break his cycle of forgetting almost everything every time the cycle repeated. He started to remember our past conversations, and I was beginning to find the deeper truth behind the mystery on why Dante had stuck himself in his own private hell. Dante knew he was dead and refused to move on. He told me that once per phone call. Probably forgot that he'd admitted it to me. He said that he knows he's dead and all his pain comes from not crossing over, but he's terrified of the things that wait for him in the dark. Then there was the terrible thunderstorm that had come in on the night Dante told me the reason he believed he deserves hell. He told me why he deserved eternal damnation. Well, I'd known Dante for a while at this moment now. It was a year and a month past the first time I'd ever picked up the phone and ever tried to talk to him on that first fateful night. Maybe the sheriff saw me as some sort of babysitter to Dante's strangeness, but I saw myself as some sort of a guide. Maybe I could lead him out of this torment. It was my day off, and my work flip phone buzzed incessantly on my nightstand beside me as I lay in bed. I was still awake, so I snatched it quickly. I already expected to get a call about Dante during the night anyways. Sometimes I could just feel when he was going to act up. "Hey Jill, did I wake you?" asked the male dispatcher that was currently on shift. He sounded shaken. "No, I was up. Let me guess, is it our frequent flyer?" I said, trying to inject some levity into the situation. "Yeah, he's in a mood tonight." "Oh, that's every night with him, Mitch," I replied. No, you can feel something's wrong," Mitch said on the other end of the line. Before I could question Mitch any further, he went ahead and transferred me over to the line Dante was holding on. Immediately I felt a throbbing pain in my bones, and the temperature plummeted drastically in my small bedroom. I swallowed, and my ears popped like the air pressure had changed in an airplane. Well, these sort of manifestations had never happened before. "Jill, I remember," Dante informed me. "I know why I'm going to hell. Please help." "Dante, my friend," I said with a sigh and wrapped my bed covers tighter around me. "We've talked about this many times. You're not going to hell. Everything I've heard people say about you is that you're an honest, church-going, and faithful husband." No. Listen for once," he said with growing panic, common for conversations with him. "Stop trying to do the cop thing by telling me to lie down, to calm down. I need you to just shut up and listen to me this time, just as a friend." I quieted, and Dante did for a moment as well. The beats of silence went on long enough for me to think he'd been disconnected, before he finally spoke up with a somber, low voice. You know she had cancer, right?" he said with grim finality. "Yes, it was breast cancer, I believe you said. She'd undergone multiple rounds of chemo treatments. You've piecemealed most of this information just recently to me. Just like how you tell me the same thing over and over all the other times you've called me. Do you remember, Dante?" I know what I just said to Dante was risky. Usually every time he called 911, he didn't remember anything, but only tiny fragments of our past conversations. And if I let him know he was on a loop, he'd sometimes take the information well and help me dig up more answers for him. Or Dante could react the opposite, having an info dump on him, and react with an existential crisis on me. This would usually leave him in a sobbing mess for the rest of the night until he hung up or the ghost flames engulfed him. I had the faith Dante really wanted to tell me something tonight, and my gamble would pay off. "Oh, yeah, I forget," Dante said placidly. "But yeah, she was in remission though," Dante continued. "The doc said she still wasn't out of the woods just yet. Cancer had come back before. We tried so hard to save her life. And then I went and killed her." "Dante, don't say that. It was an accident." "Jill, what did I say about that bullshit? Just let me talk," Dante retorted with an anger I'd never heard him use towards me. No, Dante continued in a calmer voice after there was a moment of silence between us. "No, I remember everything. Truth is, I've always known. Yeah, I pushed it away. But the more I accept the truth, the clearer the memories become." "How have you always known? Half the time you don't remember your name or how you got out into the woods until I walk you to the answers," I said. "It's like this," Dante said. "The knowledge has always been there, like a splinter itching in my head, begging me to scratch it. When I finally did, all these memories came flooding back." I realized I could see my breath plume out in front of my face as the temperature dropped even lower in my room. Somehow his grief was affecting the physical world. I theorized the longer his spirit stayed in the purgatory state out in the woods, the stronger his pull on the real world grew. "We were coming back from a stay at the specialist on the day of the crash," Dante said. "The doc had given us good news about the cancer's remission, but he also was pragmatic about the possibility of the cancer returning," Dante reiterated. "The doc wanted Bea to try to strengthen her body as much as she could since the chemo and sickness had left her in such a weakened state." "Oh my God, she was so frail," Dante remarked. I listened dutifully, surprised at the lucidity and recollection Dante was displaying. All these months of working with him seemed like they were paying off. I was finally leading him to the answers he needed to pass on to the afterlife. "Oh, Lord," Dante lamented to himself. "We were almost home when Bea decided to share the good news with me. Oh, why didn't she just wait until we were at home, safe? Why?" Dante asked as his voice broke into a sob. "What was it?" I gently prodded. She told me she was pregnant. I thought she was on the pill or couldn't get pregnant during chemo. I don't know. It was the last thing on my mind," Dante yelled. But obviously, Bea had different plans. She never told me about how she wanted to get pregnant. She was just happy she was. She thought I'd be happy too. "Well, didn't you and Bea want kids?" I asked. "Yeah," Dante said with more anger. "But not if the child growing in her would kill both of them. She was barely strong enough to support herself. She thought she was strong enough to carry a child. What if she died when the cancer came back? She'd be bringing a child into the world without a mother." "Well, maybe," I began to interject. "She wanted to give you the family to be with if she ever passed away." "But no, she wouldn't listen, Jill," Dante interrupted. "She had to have this baby. A glimmer of hope in all this death," she said. Dante fumed. "So we argued. I screamed at her, told her to terminate the child, told her to prioritize her own survival first. She started screaming back. She said if she died, she wanted to leave a son or daughter for me while she still had the time. We both screamed and argued and screamed and argued." The sadness in Dante's voice rang so hollow in my ears, and tears formed in my eyes. I knew what he was going to tell me next, and my heart broke. Somehow I was distracted. I was leaning over, screaming at Bea when I drove into the oncoming lane. I almost drove head-on into the oncoming traffic. I swerved to the left and sent the family of four to smash head-on into the car behind me. I killed them, Jill. It was all me. Holy shit. Damn, I shouldn't have said that. "Yeah, you're right," Dante confirmed. "But it's not the worst of my sins." He sighed heavily into the receiver. I could hear his shaky breath as he tried to compose himself. "What are the damn odds, eh? I guess God really does hate me. How did we perfectly land through the roof of this freaking shed?" "How was Bea? Did she die on impact?" I blurted without my normal tact. I didn't care, though, because Dante had me hanging on his every word. She was alive," Dante answered grimly. "But she wasn't there. We were both upside down and pinned in a metal coffin in the pitch dark. I was hurting with either mine or Bea's sticky blood covering me. Yeah, I could hear Bea talking to herself. It was nonsense talk. She just kept murmuring and whimpering and laughing like she was in her own world. I couldn't see her, but I could reach out to her. She was broken and bloody. All I could do was comfort her and talk to her. "I'm so sorry, Dante," I offered. She stayed that way for hours. I guess her brain finally swelled in her skull and she death spasmed right next to me. She shook and struggled and finally became silent and peaceful. "I killed my wife and unborn child," Dante said. "Hell is waiting for me, because all the people I killed died because of my selfishness and negligence." I had no idea what to say to him in the following moments. The worst was, I didn't completely disagree with his self-accusations. I could physically feel his pain and guilt bleeding through the phone. Finally, something hit me. I knew what to say. You, said peaceful, right? She was finally at peace when she died? I asked Dante. Yeah, so what? He replied. I've heard her call to you. She is at peace now. You said it. Now she calls to you. You have to join her. Dante let out a wry laugh before addressing me. I wasn't the Bible scholar. That was more B. She was the preacher's daughter. I just started going to church again because of her. I didn't know the good book front to back like she did, but I knew the important ones, and sure as hell knew my Johnny Cash. The thing is, B knew the verses I would remember. Now I was even more dumbfounded. What did an old folk singer have to do with all of this? All of a sudden, Dante's thoughts didn't just come from the phone, but formed directly in my head. Well, they were fragments, but the message was clear. Come and see. Come and see. Behold a white horse, and hell followed with him. Hell awaits you, Dante. Hell is for murderers. I saw the mental picture of a frail, bald woman surrounded by fire. She was giving a warning to her husband about the fate that was awaiting him. But was it worse than the inferno he'd had to endure every cycle he called 911 for help? Suddenly, my cold room began to heat up like a furnace, and I heard Dante let out a painful yelp in surprise on the other line. Smoke began to sizzle off my phone into my ear and face. Dante was screaming now, and I was screaming along with him. I quickly hung up the phone on Dante and tossed it across the room like a diseased rat. I was left in the dark quiet of my bedroom as the temperature went back to normal immediately. I knew Dante would somewhere have to deal with his inferno alone tonight. Part 4. Is this the place? I asked Gomez as he put his patrol car into park at the side of the road. Yeah, just walk off the road right between the start of the little bridge and the Hook's cutoff sign, Gomez said nervously as he pointed out into the darkness of the forest. It's an immediate steep drop-off that runs off the river to the old shack. Gomez looked over at me in the passenger side and handed me a hefty metal maglite. I tested its brightness and almost blinded both of us with the onslaught of lumens in our eyes. I yelped and turned it off. Jill, you sure you want to do this? Gomez asked with earnest, while he blinked away the spots in his vision from the blinding flashlight. I mean, what if you get hurt down there? Gomez continued. You said it yourself about how you theorize Dante gets more powerful the longer he haunts that damn shack. You know, he's been out there for so long. The flames could hurt you now. He could hurt you. And I'm on duty right now, so, Gomez, I said, stopping the older deputy in his train of thought. I know you don't want to go down there with me. I know there's nothing anyone could do that will get you to come back down into that shack again. I never expect you to accompany me. This is just between me and Dante. There's no way Dante would intentionally harm me, I added. Gomez looked relieved by my words and physically relaxed his shoulders and released his death grip on the steering wheel. He held the expression of a man spared his execution right in the nick of time. I'll wait here on the road as long as I can, Gomez said once the color had returned to his face. If I get a priority call, I'll be back as soon as I can, or I'll send one of the rookies to come pick you up if I'm taking too long with what I'm on. I knew Gomez wouldn't leave me out here. He was scared shitless of whatever was in that shack in the woods, but he was as solid as they come. He proved himself a stand-up guy during his long career in law enforcement. He was scared of no man, but had no time for ghosts and the supernatural. This was the call that haunted him from his rookie years almost as much as it haunted me. I gave Gomez a knowing pat on his shoulder before I opened my door to step out into the night. I walked towards the spot he'd indicated between the sign and the beginning of the bridge's railing. I felt butterflies in my stomach as I made it to the edge of the road and looked out into the pitch blackness of the woods, where the ground seemed to drop away into nothing. I remember having the same butterflies in my stomach the night Dante had first called the SO, and now that I was physically here, I felt silly for being scared back then. Gomez's flashlight illuminated the forest with brilliant white light as I slowly made my way down the steep incline. I could see the roofless metal shed next to the reflective creek. It took me longer than I would have liked to admit, maneuvering my way down towards Dante's final resting place. But I was getting weaker, and I felt like one good fall would shatter me like a porcelain doll. Once I finally made it down to the creek bed, I noticed all sound in the forest had stopped. Only the trickling water and the silver bloom of the full moon painted the still night as I approached the infamous shed. As I pushed the metal door open, I half expected to see a man shrouded in flames, screaming the screams I'd heard so many times. But I was greeted with the same silence from outside. It was just a dingy, dark shack, with the same ominous moon glaring down through the open ceiling. I went and stood in the middle of the shack and closed my eyes as if in prayer. It was past midnight, and the call should be coming soon. "Dante," I said aloud, eyes still closed. "I need to speak with you." Only quiet replied to my summons as I felt for any change in my surroundings. Finally, I thought I could feel the temperature drop from a humid night to a chilly breeze across my bare skin. "Back! Get back!" I heard Dante yell, making me jump in fright. I looked down immediately to my right and saw an upside-down man reaching out the window of a car, trying to grab my leg. I jumped back instinctually, out of the reach of the grabbing hand, and realized the man was trapped inside the upside-down car. Both he and the smashed car had just appeared out of nowhere. "Get back! You're too close. When the fire starts, you'll be in it," he screamed in warning at me, as I backpedaled in a frenzy all the way backwards to collide against the opposite wall with a clang. After the moment of shock faded, I realized that the distraught man in the vehicle was Dante. My Dante. He was pale-skinned, with loose black hair dangling everywhere as he struggled in his pinned position. His eyes were wild, but he was more handsome than I'd pictured in my mind. "Dante?" I called out to him calmly. "You can't be here. The fire will burn you. It's gotten stronger. You have to call 911. Ask for Jill. She knows what's going to happen." Dante continued his tirade at me. "Dante, it's me. I am Jill. I'm here to see you. I came to see you in person." Dante stopped and just hung there for a moment, awkwardly jammed against his steering wheel while inverted. His face went from shock to a thin smile. "You finally came to see me in the flesh. Well, figuratively," he asked. At this moment I ran to him and dropped on my knees to move closer to eye level with him. His smile widened and so did mine. I was finally meeting the friend I'd been talking to for so many years. I instinctively reached out to help him. His eyes bulged in surprise and I jerked my outstretched hands back with a gasp of pain. My two outgoing arms had instantly gone from room temperature to a sharp freeze. The peculiar feeling reminded me of the sensation I once had as a child when I started a bath and accidentally turned the hot up. After I let the tub fill a moment, I put my hand back in to check the temperature of the running stream, expecting either cold or lukewarm. Instead, the extreme temperature jolted my senses and almost felt like a cold sensation before the scalding water sent a heat message racing through my pain receptors to my brain. I looked at the tips of my fingers. They were numb and throbbing red. They'd already begun to swell. Was it cold or burning that I'd felt coming from them? "I don't think the living and the dead were meant to touch," Dante said sympathetically. "Yeah, I guess I have to be honest with you and tell you the truth." He gave a timid smile, trying to lighten the mood. I was still processing the fact that my hand was inflamed, and I was talking to a ghost trapped upside down in a wrecked car feet in front of me. But I guess this was just his reality. "It seems news of our little talks has gotten around," Dante said almost sheepishly. "Well, it's been literal years, and the sheriff's department has had so many employees come and go," I replied. "Plus, rumors spread like wildfire in this county. No matter how well we try and keep it, need to know." "Well, a paranormal investigator would come out here," he continued. "She said it was for an internet thing." "Oh, Dante, is that why you get so quiet on me for a couple of full moons?" I laughed. "Actually, yes," he said back with a bigger smile. I couldn't appear to her at first. I took practice. I had to focus, but I never should have done it. I never should have dragged her into my hell. A sense of dread hit me then. Maybe Deputy Gomez was right. Maybe this was a mistake to come down here. But I quickly squashed those thoughts and pushed through. I was here for a reason, and I was going to stay true to my purpose. Hey, tell me what happened. Her name was Kyler. First I wouldn't appear, but she was stubborn and would just sit there all night and ask questions into the air with the recorder between her legs. Or she'd light candles and draw symbols to summon me like I was a demon or something. She even pulled out a Ouija board like she was at a high school sleepover. Oh, I was so dumb to talk to her. She was just a young college kid. I was being a selfish loser. I just waited patiently. This wasn't exactly the answer to my question. Just one more of Dante's typical self-loathing that I'd become so used to. He'd get to the point eventually. But I finally did break down and begin to show myself to her. I learned how to manifest myself. Yes, it used to be random, but now I had better control. Especially on full moons, just like tonight, he said. I learned I could fully manifest and maintain myself on the physical plane of reality. I only did it once with her. She almost died. So, you have to go, before it's too late. No, Dante. Not before I tell you something, I said. Jill, we can talk about it later. If you stay here, the cycle will happen and the fire will consume me. The fire engulfed Kyla like she was tinderwood. Oh, the poor girl ran and collapsed outside, still aflame. Her friend put her out and ran her to the hospital. If Kyla hadn't had a friend too scared and waiting outside, the poor girl would have burned to death just like me in these damn woods. Just another victim of my hubris. Dante began to yell. I care for you too. Dante, I interrupted. Dante quieted, hanging silently in his seat. You must let me speak my piece then, because this will be the last time we'll ever talk. Jill, what do you mean? It's been years, Dante, and I'm getting older. I wasn't a spring chicken when you first called me. I was going to a smaller department to round out my retirement. Dante looked at me in complete bewilderment. I could see in my eyes that he'd never considered my side of our relationship before. Hell, Dante, I retired from the SO years ago. I've kept in touch because of my love and friendship with you, I said to him. Jill, I'm so sorry, Dante finally said, snapping out of his shock. I haven't paid you any attention. I mean, I'm stuck. I'm dead. I just see myself. I just saw this moment. That night. I've neglected you. I didn't want to chase you away, Dante pleaded. Don't leave me. No, my friend, it's not like that, I said, holding up a hand to stop his begging. I scooched closer to him on my knees and looked him in the eyes. I reached up slowly and removed the scarf from my head. It took Dante a moment to recognize the significance of the moment. This was the first time he'd seen me, but I could see that it clicked on why I put so much grim attention on my bald head. Oh, it's that damn cancer. Oh God, Jill, you got it too, he said with shock. How long? Why, what do we need to do about it? I've been such a fool. I've never asked you about your health. Dante, it's fine, I said. I have a plan. It's in remission right now. And since I'm widowed, I'll be moving closer to my son and daughter a couple of states away. They have a nice place set up for me, and the treatment facilities up there are top-notch. We don't know how all this works, I said, motioning around to the shed and the ghostly wrecked car. But I remember when I went on vacation out of county. Dispatch couldn't transfer your call to my phone. Somehow your presence has a local calls-only range on it. I don't think we'll be able to have our full moon chats anymore. I saw the despair wash over Dante's face as he realized what was happening. He'd truly be alone in the woods again. He'd be stranded by himself to face his demons alone. Alone and burning in pain and guilt over and over. I began to cry. It wasn't fair, none of it was. The cancer in my body, the wreck that took Dante and Bee's life, all of this. I had to make it right. I couldn't live in a world that allowed things to be so broken. I won't abandon you, I said as tears blurred my vision of him. If the sickness takes me, I'll find my way back to you. Even if I live a full life, I'll find my way here to this shack. We'll face the darkness together. I'll sit with you as long as you need me to. I'll sit until you're ready to cross over. The fire doesn't scare me, okay? Even with my vision dulled due to my tears, I saw Dante's expression change. I didn't understand his response. I just shared my heart with him, and I truly meant what I said. But Dante looked furious with me. "What did you just say to me?" he demanded as he struggled fruitlessly with the seatbelt that held him, suspended inverted in the driver's seat. "Tell me again what you just said, just so I'm clear." I started nervously, "I wouldn't abandon you in these woods. Once my time is up, I'll find you. I'd find a way to make it here instead of moving on to whatever afterlife awaits me and—" "You'd sit with me?" Dante interrupted, with a tone almost like an accusation. "Yes," I stuttered. "I don't see how this—" "You'd burn with me," Dante stated, more than asked. "Yes, for as long as you need it," I snapped back. "I won't leave you out here all alone, Dante. I'll sit with you and weather the storm with you till you're ready to move on. What's your problem?" Dante closed his eyes and took a couple of deep breaths. I didn't understand how I could have insulted him. What I said was honesty from my heart, and it meant a lot to me. "Enough is enough," Dante said quietly with his eyes still closed. "The only way out is through, right? That's your favorite thing to say to me." He opened his eyes and looked at me with that same slight smile. "I don't know what I said to upset you," I said. "Please help me understand." "That's the problem, Jill. It's always been all about me, hasn't it?" Dante said with a strange calmness that was new to him. You give, and I take and take. I seem to do that in a lot of my relationships. Oh, for heaven's sake, I never asked you about your health, or about your family. I never stopped to realize you had a life I was interrupting," Dante said, as his calm demeanor began to falter. "You're even fighting the cancer that almost took my bee, and I was too selfish to notice." "It's okay, Dante. Your situation's not normal. I don't fault you for being a little hyper-focused on your trauma. I mean, it killed you and a bunch of people," I said. Yeah, but nobody else should have to pay for my actions. Nobody else is to be burdened with my pain or die for my sins. I have to end this. The only way out is through," he said. I felt a mixture of emotions wash over me. This is what I wanted for Dante for years. I just hoped he was ready and not going to be wishy-washy on me. I had to make sure he was ready. "We still aren't sure where you're going after you leave these woods," I added solemnly. "Yeah," he replied just as solemn. "I'm like Schrodinger's cat out here in these woods. I'm both alive and dead, forgiven and punished, going to heaven and hell." "No," he continued. "There's been too much death brought on because of me. You must focus on your own life, Jill. As you fight your monsters, you shouldn't have to think of defending me from mine." "Dante!" I couldn't help it and reflexively reached out my hand to my friend just a couple of feet away from me. The sharp burn made me pull my hand back quickly, though. "I don't know about you, but it's getting hot in here," Dante said with a slight quiver in his voice. "You need to leave the area for your safety." "I can stay with you this last night," I said. "I'll stay a safe distance, but I'll camp out with you during this last cycle. I can at least give you that." "Not necessary, my friend. I won't stay in the fire long," he told me with a worried smile and a look barely disguising immense fear. "This'll be my last night, too. I'll let Bee take me. She can show me whether it's heaven or hell." "Are you sure?" "It's not my story anymore, Jill. It's about the living, not the dead. I won't hold you back anymore. You have to be strong for yourself." Before I could say anything back to Dante, ghostly flames began sprouting up around him, and an intense cold sucked all the breath out of me. "Out! Now!" Dante screamed at me as his whole body erupted in horrible, blistering flames. I ran back to the shed door as he screamed in pain. The scream was so much worse in person. Well, I happened to get outside and slam the shed door behind me and not get burnt by the preternatural cold flames. After a while, I could hear that Dante had turned his scream of anguish into a controlled moan. "You hurt?" Dante asked through the pain. No, I'm fine. It's just scared me, is all," I said. I put my ear up to the icy shed door to hear Dante on the other side. I sickened myself as I imagined him talking to me, while the spectral flames scoured through his hanging body. "Just stay for me now, please." He almost begged me through his pain. It seemed like a pain that made forming a coherent thought almost impossible. "Last time, I swear." "Yes, of course," I yelled back through the door. The screaming went on, and I kept telling him I wasn't leaving him. And finally, after a couple of minutes of Dante burning, I heard what we were waiting for. "Come and see, babe. Come and see," invited the melodious voice of Bea, his wife. "Yes," Dante breathlessly yelled. "Come get me, wife. I'll go with you. I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever the consequences of my actions are." Tears rolled down my eyes as I realized a saga was coming to an end. I still dared not open the shed door because the strange cold was causing frost to freeze around its cracks. I knew something momentous had taken place in the shed. I believed Bea had taken Dante up on his offer to take him to the afterlife. "Jill," Dante's voice came, more gentle. "Yes, what's happening?" "I'm standing and there's a light at the end of a tunnel sort of deal." "Are you serious?" I laughed. "Yeah, but it's not funny. Bea's at the end with something, but every time I take a step forward, it gets hotter. It gets hot like hell." "Or a cleansing fire," I said. "You can't stay here forever, Dante." "Yeah," he sighed. "The only way out is through, right? I'll accept hell if it's deemed necessary." And then, quieter, "Oh, please, God, forgive me." And with that, Dante went quiet. I rubbed the tears out of my eyes, and the temperature around me began to return to normal. I trekked my way back out to the road, and Gomez wasn't there. I called him, and he told me to wait while he sent a rookie to come get me. And so I just stood in the dark and looked up at the moon and thought of my friend. But then one more message came through from the other side. "Come and see," Bea asked in her familiar, sing-song voice. "It's beautiful, Jill," Dante's voice spoke up. "She's holding my baby daughter." So, my dear friends, another beautiful story there for you. That's awesome. Just loved that one. Just absolutely loved it. Fantastic story from Caleb Sliger, who, of course, was the author of that incredible Reverse Vampire series I did a few years ago now. Great stuff, great stuff. So thank you also for anybody who's been asking after my health and expressing concern. It's really much appreciated. I consider myself extremely lucky. I caught what might have been a serious problem before it got serious. So I just, really do think I got lucky there, to be honest. Well, I went to the doctor, did what I should have done. Anyway, enough of this nonsense. Thanks again for listening to this one, and I'll be back again very soon, something special at the weekend, and I hope you're going to join me again. Till then, remember, it's just a story and you sleep well, yeah? Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. It really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams, and bye-bye.